they tell me at least. Welcome in, impromptu edition of the Horse Racing Happy Hour. When it's impromptu, you know it means Barry Spears. My name's Louie Remote. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We're going to go through the late pick 4 at Ellis Park on a Saturday. This is also part of the Kentucky Racing Spotlight, so if you listen on Friday, we appreciate you hanging out with that. Thanks to my guest in the previous segment, Barry. How about this? Look at me doing radio live during a podcast. My guest today was Nick Lynch, assistant trainer, of course, for his dad, Brian. Talked about lots of things. And one of the horses we talked about, Barry, was one that I'm very excited to see return to the track. And his name is Owen Almighty. We saw him win the Tampa Bay Derby earlier this year. We saw that very public back and forth between Brian Lynch, of course, the trainer, and the Flying Dutchman folks who were like, no, he can get the distance. Brian was like, Pat Day Mile, how about that? And then they ran him in the Derby, turning for home. He's totally live, Barry. He's right there at the top of the stretch in the lead. And he holds on for fifth, man. Frankly, in a 19, I guess this year, 19 horse field, number one, good check in the Derby. Number two, lots of really good horses haven't cracked the top 5 in the Derby. And so all the things, I'm excited to see him back. They're talking maybe 7 furlongs at Charlestown, maybe running back up at Saratoga again. I'm not sure, but I'm just excited to see him back. I think he's going to be a really nice horse moving forward. And I've already said he's going to run as a 4-year-old, which is awesome.
That's totally awesome. But one embarrassing fun fact is I introduced my family to my Australian accent because of Brian Lynch and Owen Almighty. I did an imitation after he won at at Tampa.
At Tampa, sure.
And I said basically Owen Almighty in the Pat Day Mile in my Brian Lynch accent. And my wife and child did not understand a word I said. And then I played the clip of him saying it, and then they were like, "Oh, okay, I get it now." I was like, "I have a good one." I don't know if I'll pull it out here.
Please don't. I always laugh at these. Please don't pull anything out. The thing I always laugh about with these is, the owners want to go to the Derby, and I'm not mad at the owners for wanting to go to the Derby.
Right.
But it is funny to hear the mental gymnastics of a trainer who says, "Yeah, we're going to the mile," and then all of a sudden they're going 10 furlongs. It's a whole thing. Hey Barry, I need to switch Wi-Fi, so you go ahead and react to me making fun of jockey of owner and trainer situations. But man, frankly, that 5th place, that's as good as we could expect from any sprinter, frankly, in the Derby.
Yeah, I don't really I can't knock him. I mean, he really ran good. I think he's a really good horse. He's a little one way as far as his running style, unless he's matured over this break, and he can show the ability to rate. That would be excellent. Yeah. But we'll see. I mean, I'm excited. I mean, it just adds to the older horse division, which is very, very strong right now. So,
that's right.
I hope that trend continues where we get these good 3-year-olds turn into good 4-year-olds to good 5-year-olds and keep that ball rolling.
I also think we're carting more races at a mile on the dirt now than we have in previous years. So horses like Owen Almighty going forward can have a lot more opportunity, whether it be one turn at Churchill or a turn and a half at Ellis, what have you. Moving forward as well. So really enjoyed having Nick on. I appreciate him jumping on short notice here on the Kentucky Racing Spotlight. Of course, also the Horse Racing Happy Hour. Barry Spears, Louie Remote hanging out with you. Late pick for Saturday at Ellis Park. We'll start with race 7 here on the card. It's a claimer, and we are going, according to the form, it's a maiden optional, 50,000, purse of 44,000. Mile on the turf course here, Barry, at Ellis Park. Tough one here, I thought, and probably the race where you and I are both going to spread the most in the late pick 4.
Yeah, this is a real tough race. I mean, anytime you have maidens going a mile on the turf for the first time, doesn't matter what age they are, it's always going to be chaos, typically, unless there's there's sometimes you get a horse that's very well meant from a big barn, but we don't have that kind of situation here, thankfully.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Like I said, mile on the turf here, Barry. Where'd you land on top at least?
I think on top, I would go with number 8, Tearing Up My Heart. This horse really didn't get a chance to run for Brad Cox first time out at Ellis on July 5th. Was slow to begin with, got checked, and really didn't have a shot. Brad Cox's horses do a lot better second time out anyway. Yeah. I'm a little kind of put back that he put Jaime Torres on this horse, but he's been riding great. So
Well, and
I
everybody's
mean,
out of town, man. It's King's
right.
Plate Day, and there's just everybody's out of town here.
That's true.
Yeah.
Brad likes to spread it around anyway. So it's not too concerning, but it's just a little bit different. I mean, he's only ridden for him, a few times, but I don't think that's going to matter. Usually his horses do all the talking, and I think this horse has a good shot.
It's interesting because he does have Edgar Morales aboard Alta Avenue, who both of us will have in our pick fours here. First timer worked really well from the gate the other day at Ellis Park. But this debut at a mile thing, like if you wanted to try to find a chink in the armor of Brad Cox, this is the under 20% angle. Ooh.
Yeah, 19, right?
But this this is never an accident with him as far as placement of these kinds of horses. It's a Tacitus. We're on the turf here. We're going that mile over the two turns. I think it's never an accident when he's trying to do that with 2-year-olds for sure. But look, this is a guy who's incredible with 2-year-olds at 26%. And so I'm going to include that one as well in my late pick four at Ellis Park on Saturday. Barry Spears, Louie Rabeau hanging out with you here. Crossover. Horse Racing Happy Hour, and of course, the Kentucky Racing Spotlight on ESPN 680. And 1057 late pick three does start in race 8, a $32,000 claimer here with a $46,000 purse going a mile and an eighth. If you are not familiar with Ellis Park, that means they are starting at the finish line. It is the same distance around as it is at Saratoga. Again, running for 46,000 in here. A wide open one, according to the morning line maker, except that Hey Boss here comes in at 5-2, the 8-horse here. Barry, will you be including the Tom Amoss trainee in your hand?
That is a negative, my friend. No chalk zone, to be
Okay,
honest.
so with my guy Barry Spears, why are you tossing Hey Boss? Let's start there.
The horse has every right to win a race like this. I just think there's a lot more class-wise than what this horse has been facing previously. And this might be a real true test. And I don't want a horse that's getting a class test as the favorite, unless they really tower over this field, which this horse does not. And I think there's other ways to go.
Yeah, I agree with you that there are other spots to look in here. I'll be using 3 different horses as well, including the 7 right next to him in Winston Wolf. Rocco gets the ride for Von Hemmel. That's a combination we talk about all the time, Barry. You know that. This is one 2 back I thought looked really good over dirt at turf at Churchill Downs. Excuse me. But we're talking about a horse only won 4 times in his career. One of those is on the turf with a second place finish as well. The last time we saw this horse on the turf was at Ellis Park, going a mile and an eighth, in a good second place doing that last August. I actually like the move back to turf here. This was one they tried to move back to turf in January at Fairgrounds, got taken off, gets claimed by Tom Amoss. He's been running this one on dirt. I love them trying to stay on the dirt here with this one. 2 for 15 lifetime. I think there's a chance, at least with those 6 times hitting the board, that this one will get us some value, at least in here, Barry. But who are you going to use instead of Hey Boss?
I like the 6, What's Up Doc, quite a bit here. This horse was transferred Barnes from Chris Hartman to Riley Mott, which is kind of a lateral move, I guess.
Okay.
I don't think there's any drop off in training styles or anything like that there. This horse was running good at Oaklawn over the winter when it was really tough, especially early in that meet. Almost won a race there in December, won one in January, which is kind of in the thick of it, and then tailed off a little bit, got beat by a horse that's in this race, Hayes Strike, before a layoff since March. Came back off of that layoff at Ellis, going the same mile distance, and got beat by, came back at the mile distance. They're going a mile and an eighth. Got beat by a good horse, a notoriously good horse in Golden Glider. And also finished in front of a horse named Mena, who's pretty decent as well. I think class-wise, this horse fits very, very well, just needs the trip. There's not too much speed, so I think this horse could be even closer up to the pace than they were last time, since they were hung out on the 10 spot last time. A little bit of post-relief gets it done here. I like the 6 quite a bit.
If people are trying to remember the name Hayes Strike that he mentioned in passing, did Barry, that was a horse we saw on the Derby Trail in 2023, obviously still running these days. We'll give it his best from the outside there at Turfway at Ellis Park. Barry, are you including Hayes Strike in your handicapping at all?
Absolutely. I know this horse had a couple of bad runs. The last one, notably at Ellis on July 20th, just didn't get involved, was way out wide, and just was never involved. I can see this horse turning the tables back because of the fact that he's with his friends again.
Hmm.
I think the 40,000 level, or at least last time, you could just put a whole line through that last race. This is where this horse needs to be. Just needs to work out a little bit of trip, but has the class and the kind of running style to win this race.
Interesting to see if he wants to get back to the distance as well. He is 0 for 5 at the distance, but frankly, like you were saying, when he was earlier on in his career in that Kenny McPeak barn, they thought a lot of him going further. And frankly, he's a Connect colt, right? Or gelding in this case.
Mm-hmm.
And so clearly they think the distance can be there. Like you said, wasn't great last time out. Before that, ran on the turf. So hopefully gets back to what he wants to do in this spot. The late double will start with race 9, one of those $102,000 races in an allowance at Ellis Park. We're going a mile through the chute there on the dirt. This is for 3-year-olds, fillies and mares, and up, who have never won a race other than their maiden race, essentially a non-2 lifer race here. 8-5 on Lemon Zest here, Barry. How do we feel about Lemon Zest at 8-5?
We don't want to make anything with lemon zest on Saturday. I can guarantee you that. I mean,
no lemon drop martinis, none of that kind of stuff.
Nothing,
there.
no lemon at all.
Come on,
nothing.
This is the
nothing.
happy hour. Come on, okay.
Nope, too sour.
Too sour. My man Barry likes the sugar. It's fair. What about who are you going to try to beat Lemon Zest with?
The horse I really like is the 7 Colonial Rose. I know this horse has some speed, and this is sort of a speed challenge race. There's not much in it. I think, Julian Leparoux is very, very good at getting horses out and in the front. He's nursed so many leads I've seen, whether it's at Saratoga or at Churchill or Kentucky Downs. I mean, he does it a lot when he's aboard horses, and this fits that kind of description. They claimed this horse, Norm Cassie claimed this horse back in April at Keeneland, and ran this horse on the slop at Churchill and won in a good field. And then at Saratoga, July 27th, against Our Liberty Bell and Coquito, who were razor sharp, even though Colonial Rose was the favorite in that race, funny enough. I like playing beaten favorites when they come in under the radar. It's a little bizarre that they're shipping this horse back and forth from New York, but
yeah,
I'll take it because this is a decent spot, a horse that'll probably be a decent price and getting the trip that they want. So that those are like the 3 elements right there that tell me that this horse is going to run well.
Highest speed figure on dirt of her career was, in fact, at this distance of 74 there in the the buyer figure. Should be interesting to see if she can get back to that. But you're right. Last 3 runs are at Keeneland, Churchill, and Saratoga. Last recorded workout for that horse was in mid-July at Saratoga. So interesting to see Colonial Rose make the trip back here to Kentucky to run at Ellis Park in this condition. I'm short, and this is my Brad Cox race. I'm going 2 and 6 here. I will use the 2 Lemon Zest. I'm pro Lemon Zest, unlike Barry, who's very anti Lemon Zest. I'll go Sharp Smile as well. Coming off a little bit of a layoff here. This was one of Brad Cox's attempted Oaks horses this year. It's a daughter of Practical Joke. It's a softer spot for her to land in, but she ran in the Busher last up, but before that was really good in the Busanda in January at Aqueduct. Just didn't quite get there behind My Sharona and Running Away, who ended up winning that race. But then he throws her in the Busher, and we saw Drexel Hill, who ran a bang-up race in the Kentucky Oaks itself, win that one by a bunch of lengths. And frankly, I don't think anybody was going to beat that field that day. And certainly Sharp Smile was not part of that. She gets Lasix for the first time as well, which I really like in this spot for her. And Brad Cox off the layoff does hit at 23%. Do you give Sharp Smile a spot here?
Absolutely. Just because of the fact that this horse is ran in, stakes company, This is definitely some class relief and should run better. I mean, I'm not really too keen on her chances to win because there's a lot of question marks there, but trusting Brad Cox and where he places his horses, you would think that this one out of the 2 would definitely be in the mix. I mean, Lemon Zest has shown potential, but it's hard for me anyway to take a horse like that just off a maiden win. I know the fig was high, but at 8-5, you got to be better than that. I mean, at least have more races and more to go off of just in that one race. I mean, certainly can win, but I'm going to be against that.
Yeah, I like two, by the way, with Sharp Smile. So the 2 and the 6 are the Brad Cox trainees in race 9 here. What I like too is he moved her to Ellis, right? When he decided she was going to get back on the work tab, he moved her to Ellis. And so she's been working there. And frankly, not quickly, but no one's been working quickly at Ellis Park. That's what's interesting, actually. So the work times are never that fast. And so she's in the top quartile, essentially, top 25% of what she's doing that day, whether it's at 5 or 4 furlongs. But oftentimes it looks like it's not very fast compared to, say, what's happening at Churchill or at the training center, what have you. I think she's working just fine. Edgar Morales gets them out here. And by the way, batting 1,000, Edgar Morales and Brad Cox, 1 for 1. How about that? So we'll include those two in our tickets. On a Saturday, the closer will be race 10, Barry. $16,000 claimer for non-2 lifers. Mile in a 16th on the turf. By the way, folks, if you want to fill a starting gate, in horse racing, make the conditions this simple. Here's the claim price. Here's how many times you could have won. Here's the distance. Here's the surface. We're done here. That's the easiest way to fill these races. And guess what? We got 10. Barry, where did you land in the closer? Because I think you're going aggressive here.
I landed on number 8, Catalina Crush. This horse is actually stretching out from a couple of 5 furlong efforts at Lone Star. But this is quite a bit of class relief, and I think the stretch out won't bother this horse at all. Catalina Cruiser was a huge horse that liked to kind of go long and had some speed, and this horse has that. Not to mention the buyer figures are better than everybody else's. The only question mark is the distance, and I don't think that's a problem. He ran a mile on the turf at Canterbury, almost broke his maiden then.
Yes.
So I don't think the distance is the problem. The 2 sprints to a stretch out makes a lot of sense in a race that's sort of challenged as far as contenders go. I don't really see too much in here. Atlantic Dancer might be tough, but not really a turf horse. So we're going to see some positioning here. I'm not so sure that we'll get that 4 to 1. I think we're actually
a little
bit less.
Actually. Yeah, I agree. I think we're looking at probably 5 to 2 on that horse. I think you're probably right about that. I think there's another interesting horse in here. I'm going to use Atlantic Dancer because of something you mentioned earlier, Barry, that we haven't talked about. Rafa Bejarano's sticking around for the day, right? And there's a chance that with some people out of town that he's the kind of guy that can pick up 3-4 kind of wins on a card. And I think he could close it here with a horse of the talent, at least, of an Atlantic Dancer. Jason Cook, of course, moving this one to the turf. I think Fountain Run on the inside is really interesting. Sophie Doyle gets them out here for Anamea, and we see those two together very often in Indiana, where this one broke its maiden last out. 9th race lifetime. Before that, they tried her at Colonial and Horseshoe and Gulfstream and all kinds of different places. They tried her on the synthetic, all kinds of things. She's already run this distance 6 times on the turf. She does have the win 2/3 as well, including a 3rd in a maiden 32 at Horseshoe Indianapolis. Speed all matches up all the time, all the things. She ran a style that we last saw in a maiden special at Horseshoe Indianapolis when she was in the Pletcher barn for a race, and that is a pressing style. I think she can do that again here, Barry. So the rail position to me, less of an issue. I think she's going to have to make her run anyway, but she's a daughter of Run Happy. We've seen these actually translate to the turf okay as well throughout his stud career, and so I think the price at 12 to 1, and I think you're going to get every bit of it by the time you get to the gate, is really, really a good number. And I think that Sophie could pilot this one to a win in the finale. Barry's pick 4, nice and skinny here. Look at you. Look at you being skinny with a pick 4. $18 here. Barry in race 7 is 4 wide, 3, 7, 8, and 10. Then in race 8, he has the 3, 6, and 9. And then in race 9, 3, 6, 7, he will close with a single in race 10 with the 8 horse. So there you go, $18 on Barry's ticket. How confident are we feeling about the pick 4 there, Barry?
18 to get you 500. We're in it.
Done.
Let's go.
Let's go. I am much more expensive than Barry. $45 for my pick 4 here. I've got 5 horses in the first leg, 3, 4, 7, 8, 10. So we are only different in that I added the 4. I had 3, 7, 8 in the second leg. My Brad Cox race is race 9, the 2 and the 6. And then I'll go 3 wide in the final. Hopefully we get Sophie home in the last one, 1, 2, and 8 in that race, $45. We get Sophie home. We're talking to G. We're talking Sizzler. You understand me, Barry Spears?
More than that.
Talking Sizzler. You understand me? Let's go, Sophie. We're going to Sizzler together if you did. How about that? Did you
Hey,
enjoy the stakes at Ellis last weekend? Did you enjoy those games?
oh yeah,
That
yeah,
was a
they were
nice day,
really
wasn't it?
fun racing. You know, it was a little formful, but I still enjoyed watching the. You know, the races were really good. You know, everybody showed up. Sturgeon Moon. I mean, we got some scratches and stuff, but you know, I think at least our handicapping, we did pretty good.
We did great. I think the Big Truz performance.
Mm.
We're always
Well,
looking for that 3-year-old who's going to be great in the fall. I wonder if we didn't see something where he could be better in the fall than we expected.
I
Like an
think so. He
ack kind of run, or maybe over that 1 turn mile kind of thing. We heard from Nick in the previous segment about that. But I just don't know if he's training well. Why would you not try the Pennsylvania Derby? Because you're not going to get sovereignty. You're not going to have journalism in that race. Go try to beat Gosger, essentially, who's not going to the Travers. I mean, that kind of thing.
I'd love to see it. I mean, he's definitely matured even since we saw the horse in July.
Hey,
You know,
Horseshoe, yep.
at Horseshoe. He didn't run well that day, but he was also against the track quite a bit. And a
For
lot
sure.
of you'll
In all
notice
3 weeks, too. Yeah.
you'll notice on that card at Ellis last Sunday, a lot of those horses that came back from that Indy card ran excellent.
Good point.
So
Yeah,
I
Schuster
would
Mile and all
definitely
that, yeah.
continue to keep an eye on that because Big Truz just kind of opened up and they couldn't catch that horse. He looked really, really good, got in the right position. Tyler had him on cue and he was very, very good. And I'm very interested to see what happens going forward because he's kind of under the radar. He hasn't been running at the big track, you know, and he's going to be okay. I like that horse.
Yeah, I think he'll be all right. There you go. His mind of Spears.
Ooh, you don't
What
want
was your
that.
boring play of the day? Was it the 8 in the last race at 4-1?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
The chalk. The only chalk on my.
Well, that's not even true. You took the second favorite in that race.
Oh, yeah.
I disagree with you. If there's a 2-1 favorite, you pick a 4-1 horse. That is not picking the chalk. I disagree. So, 2-1 is chalk. That's
True.
chalk.
True.
Yeah.
You're right.
Okay. All right.
What you said.
Yeah, we'll go with what I said. Happy hour. For there, he's Barry. I'm Louie. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Barry and I back tomorrow for we're back for SoCal Saturdays. Tomorrow you can find us there 1:30 p.m. Start time on that one. We'll get you all caught up on everything happening at Del Mar on Saturday. For Barry, I'm Louie. This has been the Horse Racing Happy Hour. Ellis Park preview of that late pick 4 on Saturday. Thanks for hanging out.